any of these situations, there's always somebody posting with some type of agenda, but we have to go behind these different, these different posts, or if it's people in your church telling you certain things, we have to go behind these things and make sure that these things are true. And for me, I'm Eat Up Mondays. Hey, what's going on, family? You guys already know what day it is. It is the day after Sunday. Welcome to another Eat Up Mondays. Pray that you guys had a great weekend. I know last week I celebrated a birthday, so it was definitely an awesome week. I give God all the praise for giving me the opportunity to make it to 47 years young, as they say nowadays. But yeah, I'm very grateful to be here on this week. I'm glad God has brought me through another year and has been such a great blessing to me. Listen, to be 47 years old in a life where some thought I might not have made it to 17 or 27, I just want to say glory be to God. But listen, I'm not going to talk over the meal. Glad you guys are doing well. Listen, the meal is already prepared. So without further ado, guys, let's dig in. I was talking with a friend recently, and we were just discussing how, you know, we're living in a day and age where people don't seem to fact check anything. And it's not all, but a lot of people, whether it's online, whether it's in church, wherever it is, they're taking information on face value. And I wanted to encourage you guys on this week that you got to be careful with doing that we need to stop doing that. There's so many times that I'm on social media and I'll see a post, right? I'll see a video that's been added to a social media platform, and it'll have a caption on it. It might say something like, "A woman beats up her sister for sleeping with her husband." But, it's a video from years ago, and it might have been two friends that got into it or two random women. But you'll see those type of videos posted, and I mean, it's all types of different videos. I just use that as an example. And then you'll see not only people share it like crazy, according to that context or according to that title, but they'll also be commenting on it like, oh, they ought to be shamed to be fighting each other and their sisters and this and that, and they're not even sisters at all. So I wanted to encourage you guys on this week, like, listen, we are living in a day of time that you have to be very careful with the information that you're taking in and with the information that you're taking in to be true, right? There was a podcast episode, episode 20, and the name of that podcast episode I had did some years ago, it might have been a couple years ago now, was called The Social Media Monster. And it was from a Netflix documentary called The Social Dilemma. And that documentary, it really touched on how social media is used by these different platforms to manipulate people, to kind of steer them in the direction that they want to steer them in. And it's happening every single day. But it's not only happening from the owners of the platforms, but it's also happening with the users of the platform. So we got to be careful, when it comes to politics, when it comes to racial things, when it comes to religious things, stuff like that, financial things, anything. We have to be very careful with how we use social media, how we take in information. Like I said, I'm not just talking about social media. I'm using that as an example, but even in church, that's how a lot of congregations are taken advantage of, because they allow preachers to tell them certain things that, or read a certain scripture and say, well, this is what this scripture means. And a lot of times not go behind them and fact check that and see if that's what it really means. And a lot of times it's because they may love their pastor or the preacher or trust them. But guess what? Some people, they're not doing it, just to be intentional. Some are, but some may be doing it out of ignorance. They may have heard the scripture the same way you heard it, and now they're just repeating what they heard. But guess what? In the end, it's wrong. And if it's wrong and we're taking it as fact, right? And we're applying that scripture as fact, or information you find on the internet or wherever as fact, how many know that's steering us in a wrong direction in our lives? But just to read a couple quotes from that documentary, and I'll leave a link in the description for you guys to go check out that particular podcast where I talked about this documentary. But a couple of quotes from the documentary that I feel are very interesting. It says, we accept the reality of the world of which we are presented, right? We accept the reality of the world of which we are presented. The thing that is presented to us, we just accept it, right? And how many know that's very dangerous, especially in this day and age, especially in this information day and age. Another quote, it says, social media amplifies exponential gossip and exponential hearsay to the point we don't know what's true no matter what issue we care about. And that's very powerful. For stuff to be presented in front of us and for us to see certain things to the point of where no matter what it is that we care about to be manipulated, one way or the other is super important. And we've seen it with the political things, right? I notice like a lot of times when there's like a Republican candidate, the first thing you hear come up is racist, right? Like this individual is racist. Or when you hear something about a Democratic candidate, it's always dealing with some type of pedophilia stuff or some type of financial stuff. And not to say that these things aren't true on either side, but one thing you notice when it comes to any of these situations, there's always somebody posting with some type of agenda, but we have to go behind different, you know, uh, these different posts or if it's people in your church telling you certain things, we have to go behind these things and make sure that these things are true. And for me, I'm not into politics either way. I, once again, just using that as an example, just being that I'm somebody on the outside, just looking in and observing the different things that's going on. There's times that I may go and fact check something that somebody said about a candidate or somebody might have said about a star or entertainer or a preacher or whatever have you. And sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it is true, but then sometimes you find out that what's being said is not actually true. But these people are depending on you not to go and search these things out. But before I close out this meal, I wanted to share this quick scripture, and that scripture is 2 Peter 2:3, because what I'm talking about, this is what it reminds me of, right? When we're not fact checking, when we're not going behind things, this is the thing that we see happen all the time, especially in the church. And that's what Peter's going to talk about these individuals that's manipulating people in the church. But listen to what it says. It says, and through covetousness, that word covetousness means wrongly desirous of wealth or possession, somebody that's greedy, right? He says, and through covetousness shall they with vain words, these individuals with vain words, that word vain means fake, pretended, imaginary, fabricated, false, phony, etc. Like these are the type of words that they're going to be using. These fake imaginary words, they will make merchandise of you. This is what Peter goes on to say. They're going to make merchandise of you. They're going to turn you into a product. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to sell you to you. They're going to take advantage of you and make money off of you. And we see it happen all the time with these fake prophecies that guys come up with, these fake words they give. God is telling me to create this particular line over here for that. The only people that's going to give this are the people that really believe that God is going to, just all types of different things that is being made up and that's being said that God didn't necessarily say, right? But this is how we're taken advantage of. And it's the same way on the internet with feigned words, right? Feigned posts, right? Word made up posts that aren't 100% accurate, right? And a lot of times we just run with it, especially if it's something that we're in agreement with, or if it's an individual that we don't like, particularly, and it could be anybody. It could be somebody in our neighborhood. It could be a preacher. It could be an entertainer. It could be a politician. If we have some type of ought against that individual, we definitely don't go and search out if it's true. We automatically share it right away, right? Because we want to quote unquote get the word out, not knowing that this is a false word, right? It's a feigned word. It's a made up word. But he goes on to say, whose judgment now of a long time linger if not, in their damnation slumber if not. These individuals that are doing these things, especially in the household of God, they're not going to get away with it. But I wanted to encourage you guys, like, listen, stop taking stuff off face value. Like this day and age is definitely not the time to take things off of face value and just believe anything you hear. I don't care if it's coming from your closest friend, right? If it's something that almost sounds too good to be true, or it's something in your spirit, like, oh, then search it out. It may be true, But when you're feeling that way, or when it's something that's kind of far fetched, a lot of times it just might be. So I'm just encouraging you guys, listen, don't take anybody's word for it. Only person word you should be taking for it is the Lord's, right? That's the only word that we know to be true. And we know that when we stand on his word, when we listen to his word and believe his word, we know that it's beneficial to us. But a lot of people out here that's posting up and doing things, and even post that they're posting about their lives and stuff that they're doing, quote unquote, behind the scenes. We don't even know if those things are true, right? So we got to be careful with every bit of information that we take in, guys. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. I pray that you guys have a blessed week. Know that I love you. And until the next time we share a beautiful spiritual meal together, shalom.